Hello creatures! So, I made a VTuber model for my friend as my first proper portfolio piece for my future VTuber making journey. So let's talk about that. First, super quick, what is a VTuber model? VTuber models can be 2D or 3D. I only make 2D. Either way, it's basically a puppet that you control with your face. You blink, it blinks. This is possible with a face tracking software, camera, and of course a rigged VTuber model. I'm a VTuber artist and rigger. Oftentimes you have people who only rig or who only do the art. I do both. It takes a ton of time and quite a bit of expertise, so I'm basically something like a fursuit maker, but it's purely digital. The price of these things is actually pretty similar due to it being a similar amount of labor that gets put into it, so that's why I like to make that comparison. Before I get into any of the rigging, there was a lot of prep to be done first. The first step in this case was actually a new updated design, mainly outfit for Jelly. So, a little introduction. Jelly is a jellyfish alien, so those are the two main themes. Jellyfish, alien. Most of her features are taken from her previous design, such as the jellyfish, the pink skin, and that small stellar system halo. Starting with the outfit and big shapes, I discussed with her what she would like on a call, and we landed on mainly K-pop as an inspiration because she really loves it. So she showed me some of her favorite outfits and what elements she would like me to incorporate, and I did some doodles, which went super smooth and really quick, mainly due to her showing me such great inspiration pictures. The colors took me a couple of tries. We ended up landing on this. I think compared to the previous design / outfit, adding the darker blue color makes the lighter pinks pop out really nicely. For the accessories, I really focused on that space theme with her star and moon earrings and with her little tie thing. It's also shaped like a jellyfish, and it's one of those little details that I actually am really proud of on the design. I also made her a proper character design sheet that would be able to be used by 3D modelers, which kind of took me forever because I really don't have a lot of experience with this kind of thing, but I tried really hard to make it very precise and understandable what all the different elements are. And then I made a smaller design sheet, also showing her sharp chompers and split tongue. At this point, I was ready to start drawing her actual model. First, we decided on a pose. It's significantly more annoying to do, but we both loved the look, so we went for asymmetry as well as having her hands in her pockets. It's important to mention, I use Procreate on my iPad and it can't really handle giant canvases with hundreds of layers. I'm not joking about that, we ended up at 300 plus layers, so I had to split up her body into bits while I drew them. Hey, just a little editor's note. I don't know how I managed to forget to talk about this because it's pretty damn important. I decided to make Jelly's model lineless, which is unusual for me because I actually enjoy working with line art usually. You'd know this if you see most of my other art, but I enjoy lineless art, and the idea of making a lineless 2D VTuber was really interesting to me. On top of that, I think it fits super well with Jelly's concept, as she combines a lot more vintage motifs like old school pixel art and overlays with modern inspirations like K-pop and the general space alien aesthetic. So the very digital look of clean lineless art marries these two things together really well, I think. This isn't a tutorial, but very quickly here are some basics as to why an artist has to cut up a model into dozens and sometimes hundreds of layers. You separate these parts to be able to rig and animate them. So for example, here I'll have my head layer and here my eyes and mouth on top as separate layers also. This allows me to move them, make the eyes blink, the mouth open, and also give the illusion of the head moving in a 3D space. The more separation, the better the illusion of 3D movement can be, but this also takes a lot more work since each individual piece then has to be rigged. Now, I had no plans to make this video when I was rigging the model, and also was very anxious and focused on doing my best, so I recorded exactly none of it. So for our visuals in the background, I will be using some of the exported test versions. For rigging, I started with her bald head to see what the hell is going on before I add her hair, the hair pearls, the jellyfish, her halo. It was a lot. So we start bald, focus on the X and Y angles, eyes and mouth. I will kind of have to skip over a lot of the details because honestly there's just a lot, and this is not meant to be a tutorial, more just me talking about my process and what goes into making a model like this. So The basic idea is to do the X, Y, and Z angles first, X being left and right, Y being up and down, and the Z the head tilting side to side. Personally, I made these using a slightly more advanced technique, using augmentation, which sounds really scary, but it kind of really isn't. It's a way to make the movement a little bit smoother and more human looking. The idea is that your head doesn't move from A to B smoothly and stops exactly when you reach B. There's more fluidity to the movement, so this technique tries to mimic that. And here's what that looks like. I rigged the eyes to blink and the mouth to open and close with both neutral and smiling poses using pretty simple methods. The harder and more tedious part here was making sure the teeth move correctly on the X and Y angles to give that 3D feel. It was very tedious, but personally I love the effect. I'm genuinely very proud of it. I separated the hair into multiple parts. Most importantly, some of them are not visible from the front, which is what allows for a very convincing 3D illusion as more hair appears when the head is turned. This is also supported with the pearls that appear and disappear with the head turns. It took a lot of work to get those pearls to look exactly how I wanted them to, but they really helped the 3D-ness of the hair and the head so much in my opinion. The tentacles on the jellyfish are very similar in that regard. On to expressions. Jelly ended up having around 10-ish of them, some easier and some harder to rig. The angry and sad tend to be the most complicated, because I made all new mouth forms for each of them, as well as animated the tears and gave her a new pupil shape. I'm really happy with that little detail. I think it just adds a little bit of zhuzh. I really like it. Similarly, I also made star pupils for her, and the most complicated animation on this model is this. Each little piece is rigged and then animated, and on top of that there's a very simple rigging for the X angles for the stars and sparkles in front of her face to give that 3D feel. I really love how this turned out. As far as other animations go, I gave her a wave and of course her idle animation, which involves making all the pieces rotate around her head. I did not do this the smart way, I did it the hard way, so I don't really recommend doing what I did here at all, but it's functional, they spin, I'm happy. She also has an additional long hairstyle, her harness of course, and her hands can come out in front of her pockets. Now, miscellaneous little things about this model that I am forcing you to look at. Her nails. Her ears react to her eyebrows. Her tongue has physics. These little jellyfish parts going behind her head. The jellyfish Y physics. Just look at it. I love it. The long hairstyle transformation animation. And the angry and sad expressions have a tiny bit of blush for that extra expressiveness. This is the blush alone in full power. Finally, I rigged two fun little secret expressions. Jelly is my friend after all, and I wanted to surprise her with a little something. First, a tiny version of me on her shoulder. Very happy with it, genuinely. The X and Y angles look good, there's a little extra bounce when the toggle happens. The tail physics are pretty cute, I think. So this is it. What do you think? Was this kind of video fun? Would you get one of these made? Maybe you want to check the link in the description to see if I'm open for commissions. Anyway, thank you for sticking around. This model isn't really done, by the way. There's a lot of plans for the future. New outfit, maybe controller toggle, maybe V-Bridger mouth upgrade. Hell, maybe one day even her mermaid form. So maybe stick around if you found this interesting. I'd also like to make videos about other art I do, not just VTuber rigging, so feel free to let me know what you'd like to see in the future. Thank you for watching. Bye!